Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another special Halloween Closer Look. So back in 1987, a new live-action science fiction series hit the airwaves, tied in with a toy line, set in the year 2147 in the aftermath of a cataclysmic war between man and machine known as the Metal Wars. Civilization lay in ruins, and armies of robotic soldiers and brainwashed youths are led by the nefarious Lord Dread as he tries to bring about a new machine age, wiping out the last remnants of humanity. All that stands in their way is a small band of freedom fighters known as Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future, and scattered pockets of resistance in the remnants of mankind. Wow, that sounds pretty dark and intense. That must have been on HBO or something, right? Nope. That was a kids' show. The Apocalypse. Kids love it. Produced by Landmark Entertainment and shot in Toronto using an old TTC bus barn as their makeshift studio, with none other than legendary scribe Joe Michael Stregzinski as the primary story editor and head writer. Needless to say, I loved it from the moment go, and I've been an obsessive Captain Power fan ever since. I absolutely loved it. I love post-apocalyptic sci-fi. In fact, in my horror section, I have a post-apocalyptic section on the shelves. And Captain Power, while it was technically aimed at the 10 to 14 range, had plenty in it in terms of very intelligently written stories, well-developed characters, and just a wonderful, dark, menacing, post-apocalyptic aesthetic that was unlike anything else on television at the time. So over the years, I picked up every single VHS release, the complete series DVD set that came out a few years ago, the soundtrack, the comic books, and even at the time, I went out of my way to record every single one of the toy commercials. I got all but one of them. I missed one. And yes, I even got some of the toys. So that's what we're going to take a look at today. My Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future VHS, DVD, and CD collection. Today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. So one of the big sort of gimmicks they were using to try to sell the show and to sell the toys was the fact that the toys were in fact interactive. They could interact with elements of the show. Now, specifically, the toys take the form of light guns. Let me show you what I mean here. So here we have the PowerJet XT7. Yeah, very nice. Bit of a close. Well, you can't really see, it's too dark. But anyway, maybe we'll take a proper closer look at this at some point. But just to give you some idea, you got the trigger underneath, you hold it like a gun, and there you go. And it's this really cool spaceship. And the cockpit opens up as well. There we go. And there's a little ejector seat inside. So if you load the ejector seat in there and put the canopy down, I'll show you what that does in a sec. But basically the way it would work is like this. In the show there were flashing targets. And depending on what they were targets that you could either shoot at, pew pew pew, or you had to avoid taking damage. And the way the gun would register that is it had a built-in counter, essentially. You would start at 0 and it would go all the way up to 25 points. So if you manage to score a hit on a target, you get 1 point. If an enemy shot or something scores a hit on you, you're subtracted a point. Pretty simple. If your points go down to 0, however, the gun vibrates violently in your hand and the cockpit goes flying. And you can have an action figure in there too, so you can send him flying across the room too. Pretty neat. So, as far as the functionality, it was pretty simple. You have two sensors here. You have a flashing light. This is really just used for when you're playing kind of laser tag with someone else who has a Captain Power gun. This here, however, is the light sensor. The light sensor is what detects what kind of target is on the screen and whether or not it's something you can shoot at or something that will damage your ship. So, if you fire a shot while the sensor is pointed at one of those targets that you can shoot at, you gain a point. If the sensor is pointed at something you're supposed to avoid, then you lose a point. And that's pretty much it. So the interactivity was fairly limited as far as what you could do, but it was a pretty innovative idea. It made use of the interlaced fields of CRT televisions to create very rapidly flashing stroboscopic targets that the light sensor could pick up. Now, myself growing up, we had a decent-sized CRT television. I think it was about a 28-incher. So it was the perfect size to actually play the game part of it. Now, that said, the game part of it was more gimmick than functionality. There were other toys out at the time, like I remember one called Action Max, which was the same idea. It came with a VHS tape with live action footage, and there'd be flashing targets that you could shoot at with a light gun. And it operated under exactly the same principle. And there was a few other things like that as well. So anyway, I thought the whole franchise was really cool. I mean, the toys are very well made. I mean, this is very sturdy. I've had this thing since 1987. It works just as well as the day I bought it. I can't give you a full demonstration right now because it doesn't have any batteries. Being a toy from the 80s that requires batteries, these require a lot of batteries. I think this takes like 2 AA batteries and a 9-volt just for one. Yeah, I've got a bunch of them. And they all require piles of batteries. So, yeah, we'll take a look at those another time. This time around, I really just wanted to show you the show, essentially, my collection of the show. But I figured we'd at least touch on the toys a little bit. Alrighty, well, that said, we got quite a lot to cover today. There were quite a few VHS releases, which we're going to take a look at first. And then, of course, the absolutely gorgeous Complete Series DVD set that was put out for the 25th anniversary. And the soundtrack CD as well. Plus, I'm going to show you the comics as well because, well, they only did 2 of them. Yeah. You'll see why I sigh harshly when I show you how the second one ended. Anyway, let's head on down to the black table and check out my complete VHS and DVD collections of Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. Okay, so I guess we'll go in the order that everything was originally released back in the day. So to start off with, we have Future Force Training, which is skill level 1 of the Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future battle tapes. Yeah, so this was kind of interesting. These were actually released before the show hit the air. In fact, if you look at the back here, it says, "Watch for Captain Power TV show coming in fall 1987. So they released the toys and the 3 battle tapes in the summer of 1987 to kind of hype up the coming of the show. So the battle tapes contain live-action intros and outros featuring actors in character from the show. But then the actual battle portion of it is all animation. Really good animation, too, I have to say. It's so action-packed. I mean, you can just sit back and watch the action of the animation and be perfectly content and happy. Quite nice. I've actually watched these just for entertainment on numerous occasions in the past. So I always kind of thought of these as a prequel to the show. Now, even though there are some minor discrepancies in terms of the continuity, I've always kind of thought of them as being canon to the show. So here's skill level 2, Biodread Strike Mission. Now, this is one of the big reasons it's not really canon to the show. In the show, there are 2 Biodreads. You have Sauron and Blastar. In the battle tapes, they have armies of them that, get shot out of the sky, and then they all regenerate and come back to fight again. So, yeah, they couldn't have thousands upon thousands of Biodreads on the TV budget, but of course in animation you can do whatever the heck you want. It's all just a matter of what you can draw. I think it has the same titles on literally every side of the case. Slide it out, and there we go. So essentially what the battle tapes were is you had the animation, and then in the animation there would be flashing targets that the toys would react to. So certain colors of flashing you could shoot at, like green or red. Other colors of flashing, like yellow, you had to avoid because you would take damage. And the way it worked with the toys was they had kind of an internal counter. So you started off with, I think, a certain number of points, and then as you scored hits on targets, you would gain points, but if you got hit, you would lose points. And if your points went all the way down to 0, then the cockpit of the gun, like if it was one of the spaceship guns, would go flying out. And that would indicate, and there'd be like this sound, like, "Argh," which would indicate that you'd just been blown up. So it was fun. But yeah, in terms of playing the game, I much preferred to do so with these battle tapes, because the battle tapes were designed specifically for that. They give you lots of targets to shoot and to avoid, and it's just a lot of fun. Whereas with the show, I found the targets just seemed to be added almost as an afterthought, and there wasn't as much stuff to shoot at. And also the targets would just kind of stay on screen for way too long. You'd max out your points before the opening scene was even done. Anyway, carrying on. So just to give you a clear idea of how obsessed I was with this show, I even kept the backing cards that the battle tapes originally came on. So take a look at the back here. This is the one for skill level 1. I'll just zoom in and I'll give you a little closer look here. So we start at the top here. There. Skill level 1. And we have a little blurb about the other tapes. And the toys. And to keep an eye out for the show, coming soon. And then we have skill level 2. Blurb about the other tapes. And the toys. And keep an eye out for the show, coming soon. They're all the same on the front, by the way. No difference on the front. You could tell the difference because there would be a different tape here in where the blister pack was. And finally, skill level 3. Blurb about the other tapes. And the toys. And hey kids, don't miss that show. Coming soon. In addition to the backings, they also came with instructions. Yes, how many videotapes do you purchase that come with instructions? Well, this one did, because it was special. So that's the front. The back is just the Captain Power logo. So if we take a look inside, look at that. Now, it was the same instruction book for all 3 tapes and different languages. So we'll just focus on the English, I guess. So there we go. So you actually do get some screenshots from the videos there, which is pretty cool. And if we go over here. Yeah, again, I think it's just, yeah, just English. It's other, what is it? Spanish and French, yeah. So it's just English on the one side with the pictures, so we'll just focus on those. Very nice. But you can get an idea of like the level of detail in the animation there. It's quite impressive, and they have like, you know, keep score of how you did. Honestly, this was so pointless because there were so many targets to shoot at. You would hit the maximum number of points that the gun could accumulate in a matter of minutes. Yeah. Where was it here? Oh, no, actually there is some other English here. Pilot rankings. There you go. So however many points you could accumulate. I think the guns could hold up to like 25 points or something. It was like a ridiculously small number. So you would max those out pretty quick. And then we have the other language for that. Yeah, and then you'd have some that were aerial. You'd be like doing bombing runs. It didn't matter. I mean, it was just all flashing targets that the light sensor on the gun would pick up. So really, that's all that mattered. But it made it a lot more exciting with the animation and the action, and it was all hi-fi stereo sound. And so you'd have Captain Power talking to you in one ear, and then the other character talking to you in your other ear, and then just sounds all around you for the environments. It was really quite something. Really spectacular. If you look around YouTube, I'm sure you can find rips of them. They were really quite cool. The tapes themselves, actually, you can still find on eBay as well. They're not terribly hard to find. They were pretty widely available. And there you go. Very nice painted artwork. And 90-day limited warranty. You think it's still covered? Yeah, I think we're well outside of that period now. So now we get to the videos of the show itself. The first volume was this one here, Shattered Past, which is actually wrong. The title of the episode is actually Shattered, but I guess Shattered Past was like a working title or something. So this one also has another episode, The Abyss, which is actually episode 3. So I don't know why they had episodes 1 and 3 here, but I don't know. Anyway, very nice from High Tops Video. I have a few videos from High Tops. They did a lot of kids shows and stuff. My Inhumanoids VHS tapes were from them. They also did a set of Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light, and lots of other stuff. So you can see on one side we have Captain Power, on the other side we have Lord Dread, and there's a little description on the back. But at the time, I was of course recording the show off television, so to be able to get episodes on VHS, like in pre-recorded tapes like this, in beautiful, perfect quality, with hi-fi stereo sound, I mean, it was just a no-brainer for me. So there's the actual tape with the big spindles, because it's only 45 minutes worth of programming on here. Good old Fuji. There we go. And we even have on the spine there. But, yeah, as you can see, I always make sure to rewind my tapes. Now just wait, there's going to be one that doesn't have it rewound. So next up we have Volume 2, Final Stand. This actually has episodes 4, 5, and 2. So we have the episode War Dogs, which is episode 2, Final Stand, which is episode 4, and Pariah, which is episode 5. So there we go. So we got Tank on one side and Sauron on the other side. And there we go. And so this was kind of nice. So we had 3 episodes on this tape. So, you know, what a bargain. Now, a lot of these volumes were not sort of available openly in stores. I actually had to special order them. So I got the first volume in stores. That was pretty widely available. And the battle tapes were available in toy stores. But the rest of these, I actually was kind of friendly with one of the local video stores. And the guy who ran it would special order tapes in for me. So I just tell him what I wanted, and he'd order them in for me. This one I remember I had trouble finding. I actually got this used from another video store many years later. So we have Lord Dread there and Blastar there, which is why I should mention also, you may notice the symbols. So this is the Phoenix symbol from the Power Team, and this is the Dread symbol from Lord Dread. So corresponds to which, you know, good or evil character is on the spine. So this one, because it's primarily the story of the creation of Blastar in the episode The Ferryman, we don't have any hero characters on the screen. We just have Blastar and Lord Dread. So you may notice we got Dread on one side with the Dread logo, Blastar on the other side also with the Dread logo. If I'm not mistaken, this is the only volume out of the VHS tapes that only has the Dread logo on the spines. So there we go. So this one has 3 episodes once again. We have The Ferryman, which is episode 8, which details the creation of Blastar. We have And Study War No More, which is a direct continuation of that story, and is episode 9. And then we have Gemini and Counting, which is actually episode 12. Yeah, so they weren't putting them out fully in order. They were kind of all over the place, and as someone who was trying to record all the episodes, that was a little bit annoying. But, whatever. I was just glad to be getting episodes in lovely quality. So there we go. So this one is a bigger spindle. This almost looks like a T120, but of course there's only about 70 minutes worth of material on here, so there's a lot of blank tape on this one. Next up we have Flame Street, which is one I always liked. It's kind of a cyberpunk episode. Some very cool stuff, some virtual reality things going on. We get this wonderful fight between Captain Power and Lord Dread in the cyber world. It's quite epic. So we got Captain Power on one side, again with the Power Team logo. Dread on the other side with the Dread logo. So this is actually episode 11 of the series for anyone who's keeping count. And back to just single episodes this time. Actually, I think this is the first single episode tape. All the others were 2 or 3. So I was a little disappointed by that, but I do like the nice painted covers on them. Sorry, let me just show you the tape here. So, all different tapes. This one's a Scotch tape, yeah. Scotch made really high quality tapes, actually. I bought quite a few of them back in the day. There we go. And then we have Volume 5, A Fire in the Dark. So, A Fire in the Dark is actually episode 6. So you can see that they're really just kind of releasing them in whatever order. But again, very nice to have these lovely painted covers. I was hoping that they would release the whole series just so we could have even more artwork inspired by it. So we have Dread. This is interesting. Dread with the Power logo. Huh? Somebody wasn't paying attention. And then we have Dread with the Dread logo. So I don't know what to tell you. It's just weird. Technically speaking, this should have been another one with just the Dread logo. Also, I think it's the only one that has the same picture on both little square pictures on the spine there. So there we go. So once again, only a single episode on this tape, and that is that. If you're wondering what's on the top, not much, just the UPC High Tops logo and Indicia. It's the same on all of them. Well, different UPC, obviously, but anyway. And then finally, we have Volume 6, The Intruder, which is actually episode 10 of the series. So, I always really liked this episode a lot. It's a fun episode. This character, Andy Jackson, was apparently going to come back in the next season and become a member of the Power Team, but it never happened, sadly, because, of course, we didn't get a second season. So there we have Dread on one spine, or sorry, Dread. Captain Power on one spine with the Power logo, and then Dread on the other with the Dread logo. And there we go. And again, just a single episode this time. But that's that. And then if we take a look, and same kind of tape that was on the previous volume. And that's that. And sadly, that is the last of the VHS releases of the show. So grand total, we have 11 of the 22 episodes on VHS, and that's how it all looks together. Yeah, see, that one Dread logo just stands out like a sore thumb in amongst all the Power logos. But yeah, what can you do? I mean, it's still pretty cool. If we flip it around the other way, yeah, see, look at that. That's a little more unified. You get all these pictures of Dread. You got Blastar, Sauron, and another picture of Dread, and there we go. That's actually pretty cool. Yeah, I always really liked just the package art on these. I thought they put some very nice effort into them. They look great on the shelf, and it's just a really, really good-looking collection. Now, there is one more video. And that is this one, Captain Power's Greatest Hits. Now, this was given away as a freebie with some of the toys. So towards the end of the one season that the show was on, they were really getting desperate to sell the toys. So they started giving away this video as a pack-in with the toys to try to encourage people to buy them, because people like free things, right? So what this is this is a collection of 4 music videos featuring original music by a group called the Einstein Brothers Music Incorporated, based in Toronto, Ontario. And what it is 4 music videos of clips from the show set to this original music. And the music's, kind of fun. I like it. It's a little bit cheesy, but it's got that sort of funky retro synthesizer vibe to it. There's not even any labeling on the tape at all. And yeah, that's great. But that's okay. I actually used to have 2 copies of this, but I gave one away to a friend who was also a fan of the show, and then kept the slightly better condition one for myself, because of course I did. So fast forward about 25 years, and we got this. The complete series on DVD. Yes, finally, all 22 episodes available, gloriously remastered. Well, as much as they can be. They only have the broadcast video masters. But yeah, it was great to finally have the complete series in essentially perfect quality. Well, as perfect as it can be. But absolutely beautiful packaging. Poster art by legendary poster artist Drew Struzan, by the way. Yeah, very nice indeed. And I don't know how well you can tell, but the logo is all nicely embossed, and even the artwork is slightly embossed. You can see just around the captain's shape there, and it's kind of a nice matte finish for the rest of it. And then on the spine, it's also embossed on the spine there. Let's see. And on the back, we have Captain Power's leg just kind of reaching around the side there. But there you go. So we have all 22 episodes and a pile of special features, which we'll go into in just a moment. It's very nice. So this actually is a slip cover. And, if you'd missed out on the slip cover, you at least get the same artwork on the keep case. So it's a nice oversized keep case. Let me crack it open, and we have a lovely insert booklet, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. Oh, are we missing a disc? No, we're not. They're actually all in here. So there's 4 discs total. Spin them around a bit there. So I'll just give you a look at each individual disc here. So we have the first disc, which features the good captain himself. The second disc, which features the nefarious Lord Dread. Just going to put these back in. Oh, come on. Jesus. All right. And then here we have, who do we have here? And then disc 3, where we have Hawk and Scout. Holy shit, can we... Wow. Those spindles are way too tight. And then disc 4 featuring Tank. So look at that. Pilot gets skunked again. Anyway. So yeah. So in this case, the show is spread across the first 3 discs, and the 4th disc is all bonus features. So we got episodes 1 through 8, 9 through 16, 17 through 22. I'm not sure why we have an additional hub here, but there is definitely not a 5th disc missing. So, we also have this lovely booklet, which gives us all kind of information about the show. Personal letter from Gary Goddard. And look at that, all kinds of photos from the show. And then we get a complete episode guide. Breakdown of what's on each disc. We actually do have commentary tracks on a few episodes here. On the first episode, we got a commentary with producer Gary Goddard. On episode 5, Pariah, we have commentary with writer-developer Mark Scott Zicree. There's a lot of sci-fi credentials to this show. Mark Scott Zicree, of course, worked on a lot of books about the Twilight Zone and whatnot. And we also had Joe Michael Straczynski, creator of Babylon 5, as the script editor and head writer on the show. In fact, in A Summoning of Thunder, parts 1 and 2, we have commentary with writer and executive story consultant Joe Straczynski and writer Larry DiTilio on both of those, which is very cool. It's great stuff. And for the final 2 episodes, Retribution Parts 1 and 2, we have commentary with Captain Power and pilot themselves, Tim Dunnigan and Jessica Steen. And then finally, on Disc 4, we have nothing but special features. We've got Out of the Ashes, the making of Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. Season 2 Declassified, where you actually get a whole bunch of information about what they had planned for Season 2. That's really, really interesting stuff. The original TV film, The Legend Begins, which was basically a feature film condensed adaptation of the entire first season. Yeah, they crammed it all down to like 90 minutes, and they showed that in other markets. Cast and crew commentary on 6 episodes. We went over that. We've also got a photo gallery and the original trailer, which I think is actually the original promo film for the show, which is very cool. They had a promotional film that they used to sell it, which featured different actors and sort of early versions of some of the CG effects and whatnot. So very, very cool indeed. So at the same time that they released this special 25th anniversary edition of the show, they also released a soundtrack CD. Yeah, the show featured like a full orchestral soundtrack and composed by Gary Gutman. And I always thought it had just terrific music, like really, really good score. As soon as I saw they had a soundtrack CD coming out alongside the DVD, I mean, I snapped both of them up immediately. You had to mail order this, actually, but, you know, it was a no-brainer for me. You see some of the music notes there, very cool, or like the score sheets, very cool. And then inside, we actually have a pretty extensive booklet. There's an ad for the DVD set on the back, and then on the front we see more of that wonderful Drew Struzan artwork. And then inside, we've got, I'll just pull back a smidge here. Again, some information about the show, and in particular, a lot of information about from Gary Gutman himself, talking about how he approached the composition and all the different tracks and whatnot. And we have pretty extensive liner notes about the process of composing and recording the music. And in addition to that, yeah, so we have all of this. We've got a full track list. He talks about the special 25th anniversary track he did to the 2012 version that he did specifically for the soundtrack. And then we have extensive liner notes here. This is what I was starting to talk about, where he talks about some of the big notable tracks and you know, how he approached the composition for those and where they were used in the show and that sort of thing. So it's really interesting reading, actually. It gives you a lot of insight into the creative process of creating the music for the show. It's great stuff. So this is a real treat for someone like me, being such a long-time fan of the show. Not only getting the music, but getting all this wonderful behind-the-scenes information about it. It really kind of, you know, gives you a greater appreciation for how much goes into this sort of thing. And finally, last but most certainly not least, around the same time that the show was airing, there was a comic book, a sadly very short-lived comic book, but written and drawn by comics legend Neil Adams. Yes, as part of his Continuity Comics line. Absolutely fantastic. Loosely adapted from the two-part story, A Summoning of Thunder, which was the origin story of Captain Power. I'll just give you a little look at it here. Hey, look, Bucky O'Hare. Yes, that's when this came out, when Bucky O'Hare was just a graphic novel. That's how long ago this was. But look at this artwork. I mean, this is just fantastic. It's absolutely gorgeous. And even the color is like just beautiful, shaded, almost like painting level color. It's absolutely fantastic. But loaded with action. And it tells a slightly different version of the origin story from what we saw in the show. And I was really liking this alternate take on it. And sadly, the story was never completed. It's got some ads there. And there we go. But absolutely beautiful. And on this nice high quality paper and everything. There's Volcania. Just beautiful. Yeah, and then it goes to the creation of Sauron. I mean, look at that. What an amazing rendition of Sauron. Ah, fantastic. I should mention also there was an alternate cover for the first issue, which was only available through comic stores. This, as you can tell from the UPC here, this was the newsstand version. So here's the comic store cover, a little bit different. Sadly, I don't have that issue. I'd really like to get that one just to properly have all the different versions of it. But, yeah, maybe someday. Honestly, most Captain Power merchandise, other than some of the rarer toys, does not go for very much. It's so strange because it was a franchise that had so much hype surrounding it when it first came out. It got so much press, and then it just kind of disappeared. And here's the second and sadly final issue of the comic book. And I'll just crack that one open and we'll take a little look here. As you can see, I've kept these in impeccable condition, even though they're, you know, borderline worthless, but they're valuable to me, okay? So, just open it up here. There we go. So we got a little recap, and there we go. Look at that. Sauron just screaming in from the sky, unleashing hell from the air. Fantastic. Love it. It's great stuff. So some of the characters in this, they're portrayed visually a little differently from how they appear in the show. I don't know if it was a likeness issue or they just took a little bit of artistic license. I think it's more artistic license than anything else. But this is just so damn good. Like, it makes me sad that they never continued this. Like, even it would have been great if the comic had continued even after the show had been canceled, you know. Sometimes that happens. Like, and I know there's been some other comics over the years, like, say, ROM Space Knight, which continued long after the toy it was based on ceased to be. But, yeah. So, I'll just show you how it ends. Yep, there it is. So it ends with Captain Power, you know, visiting his father's grave, and then Blastar shows up and digitizes him. Continued next issue. Liars. Well, it was fun while it lasted. And there we have the complete comic book saga of Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. Yes, all two of them. Oh well. At least the two issues we got were frickin' amazing. And there we have it, my complete video collection of Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. Every single VHS volume they ever released, including the very rare Greatest Hits tape and the 3 animated battle tapes, and of course, the complete series on DVD, and the CD soundtrack. Awesome. And there you have it. So, yeah, definitely a long-time favorite. Really wish it had gotten a second season because there's a lot of info on the DVD set, and I've seen other things on fan sites and whatnot about the direction they were going to go in subsequent seasons, and it sounds like, as dark as the first season was, it was going to get even darker in season 2 onwards. So I really would have liked to see where they had gone with it. But, oh well, in the meantime, we got 22 top-notch episodes of post-apocalyptic sci-fi to enjoy. So, yeah, if you've never seen the show before, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's good stuff. I love it. It's a long-time favorite and one that I've rewatched many, many times and will rewatch many, many more times in the future. Alrighty, well that is it from me to you for now. As always, if you'd like to get the Captain Power DVD set, the VHSs are obviously long out of print, I will include Amazon links in the description down below. So, as always, big thanks to those of you who use my Amazon links, because it does go to support the show quite directly. It doesn't cost you any more to use them. They just throw a little kickback my way when you do. So you're supporting the show without, having to spend any more, and just doing so while you shop. So thank you very much for those of you who use those links. I really appreciate it. So, thank you very much for watching. Big thanks to my Patreon sponsors. Be sure to catch me on Twitch. I stream just about every day. And I will see you next time. Until then, sayonara.